Hello everybody, my name is Johan and thank you for joining me on this my very first YouTube video. This is my Anthurium crystallinum and it had set seed, and to be honest I can't remember what I pollinated it with. So surprise surprise when I germinate these seeds. I've had this plant for so many years and look at the size of these leaves. It has finally rewarded me with these humongous seeds. This plant has got a story, and one day I will tell you about it. Oh, and by the way, I'm sure a lot of you are going to ask me, what is that in the background? Don't worry, we'll get to that in time. This is my Anthurium clarinervium. I've had this plant since 2021, and it's been a good grower. Not the fastest, but it's quite consistent. I've also harvested seed from this plant. I think it was self-pollinated. Apparently clarinervium is known for that. And I'm growing it out. It doesn't look like it's been pollinated with anything special, but I'm looking forward to seeing the little seedlings. Anthurium forgetii. This plant originally came from Ecuador. It was imported in 2002. It's been a good grower. It's been consistent. It had a little bit of spider mite at some point, but it recovered well. And I have pollinated and cross-pollinated with this plant. The seedlings I'm growing out at the moment is forgetii cross with forgetii white stripes. Anthurium baluanum or balauanum, however you want to pronounce it. This is a crazy grower. I would recommend this any day if you want to start with anthuriums. This plant is almost unkillable. I have grown this in pots, I've grown it in garden, I've grown it in full sun, I'm growing it in shade. This one is at the entrance of the house. The southern side, you can see the leaves are really nice. There's no damage on it. But the northern side, where it gets full sun, these leaves are taking a bit of a hammering. There's also a huge amount of aerial roots on this plant. And you can see how it freely produces inflorescence. It's a really active grower, and this one grows in normal garden soil. No extra compost, no nothing. And here you can see on the leaves there are some damage on the leaves, but that's just purely because of the sun. Also, this plant is about 2 meters plus high. So if you want to grow it, make sure you have enough space for it. This is on another location, also in the garden. It grows under a moonflower. You can see it receives dappled shade, which I would say is the best. It really thrives on strong light, and there's an inflorescence and it made seed. I'm just gonna see what happens with the seed. I'm not gonna really grow it out. The best for this would be to give it a grow pole. As you can see, the roots are literally wrapped around the stem of the moonflower. The baluanum stem is really rigid. It can grow without, I'll show you where I have it in pots, it can grow without a grow pole or with support. But I think it's just, if you give it a grow pole, it's just going to enhance the growth of the plant so much. These are a few examples of the baluanums in pots. Again, you can see it gets a fair amount of sun, although not direct sun in the middle of the day. And look at those crazy aerial roots. There's no support in these plants. They just stand in pots in ordinary garden growing medium. No special aeroid mix, nothing. I've put these in pots because I'm selling them, but shipping them is a nightmare. What I've done in the past is to just make a cutting of it because it is so easy to root and to grow, and send it off just like that. And without fail, it just grows. What I can tell you is in the garden where I've planted it, where it's too much shade, it's not happy. This is also another one in a fairly big pot. It gets, again, dappled shade. There you can see the leaves are humongously big. Don't be scared to propagate this plant. You cut it fairly low. It will then grow out with 2 stems. So you start out with 1 stem, and as you propagate the new shoots on the plant, it will make 2 shoots, and it's going to give you really this full plant, which is a space commitment. If you don't have space, not recommended. There you can see the 2 active growing points, and it's forever pushing out a new leaf. Crazy aerial roots, look at that. Next up is Philodendron osebono. What an easy grower. This one grows against the stem of a fairly shaded tree, but you can see it gets a little bit of early morning sun and late afternoon sun. This is grown against the eastern side of the tree, and originally I started this up on a grow pole and then decided, no, after propagating it and it split into 2, I am planting it in the garden. It's done remarkably well. You'll see the last bit of the grow pole there that remains. Very easy to propagate. I would actually recommend that you do it, because the moment you propagate it, it's split into multi-stems and it gives you a much fuller plant. This is another location. This is grown against the northern side of the tree, but look at the beautiful variegation that it has on this. It gets a fair amount of shade, not so much sun, and if you look closely you can see how those aerial roots have grown into the bark of the tree. So it uses the support of the tree, and I wouldn't grow this without a grow pole or some kind of support. The stem is fairly pliable, so you really need to support this if you want to grow it successfully. The stem there on the left you can see is reaching out to the tree, and I'm just going to leave it until it finds its way. This is grown at another location, also Philodendron osebono, and this one gets quite a bit of sun. And as you can see, the sun is definitely having an impact on the amount of irrigation that you see on the leaf. I wouldn't recommend it growing it in too much light, because you're going to lose some of the variegation. This is grown on the southern side of the tree, so in winter it's going to get very little sun. It gets a little bit of direct morning sun. But too much light and you can see that it impacted. And again, look at all those roots. I propagated this plant and then planted in the garden, and it's now multi-stem and it's growing up. If I'm correct, this tree is a Terminalia Phanerophyllubia. This is another location. Again, this one has got less sun. There's more shade here, and it also grows up the same type of tree. Philodendron atabapuense. Not as easy as the osebono, but still beautiful. This plant has got also crazy aerial roots, And I did grow it against a grow pole, but planted it in the garden, and it's now found its way up the tree. It's an easy grower if you give it the right conditions. Just for reference, I'm in White River in Mpumalanga, South Africa. It's a subtropical area, and our minimum temperatures in winter goes down to about 5 degrees for a couple of nights, but usually it's between 8 and 10 degrees in winter. We've got beautiful sunny days in winter going up to easily 25 degrees. So we never get frost conditions. The other location, this location here, is still juvenile in comparison to the other one. The other plant is more mature, and you can see the juvenile form retains the beautiful purple backs, and as it matures, you lose the purple against the leaves. So it's then more grown for the form than what it is for the purple back leaves, but beautiful. Monstera adansonii. I don't think this was ever a rare plant. I think it was just uncommon. It wasn't a very popular plant. And when we went into COVID and everybody started collecting plants, it was rediscovered. So I always had it grown in my garden for a very long time, and I just took some of those growths and I propagated it, and I planted it on more locations. It's a very easy grower. It's a very easy to propagate. If you propagate it, the propagations tend to stand a while before they start growing, but once they start growing, there's no stopping them. Medium indirect light, not very shady. It can take a little bit of sun, morning or in the afternoon, and the leaves size up beautifully. The little leaves that you see, and that start fenestrating on a very young age already. The little leaves that you see on the internet, I would recommend you propagate and put 3 or 4 cuttings in a pot, give it a support, a grow pole or a moss pole or whatever, to make it a really full plant. Look at all the seed pods or the fruit at the top of this plant. Very similar to Monstera deliciosa, but I don't think you can eat these ones. Beautiful full plant, and if you leave it rambling in the garden, this is what happens. It grows up a yucca, and it's very easy to take over, but beautiful. Now this is an interesting one. Taka chantreri, or a bat lily, bat flower. The leaves resemble spathiphyllum if you sort of don't really know them, but the flowers are very unique. You can see these big bat ears at the back, and then the actual flower are these little hanging things in front, and it's got these small flowers where it's pollinated, and it very easily makes seeds, but not that easy to germinate. Not sure why. Maybe it's because it's not pollinated properly. And you can see the pollinators, if you look at the flower, those long hairy things hanging down from the flower. I would suggest it is ants or something on the ground that climb up and go and pollinate the plant and then climb down again. It's nice and bushy if you grow a few of them together, or if you leave them for long enough in one pot, they split up and multiply quite quickly in a pot. The only thing that I would say with this one, it wants high humidity. Not essential for surviving, but if you want these long hairs to really develop well, you need high humidity. If the humidity is not high enough, the hairs will dry out and stop growing. I have seen this growing in Singapore botanical gardens where the hairs literally are hanging down. The plant is as tall as I am, and the hairs are hanging down all the way to the ground. A truly spectacular plant. To best show the flower, I would suggest you stake the flower so that it remains upright. It looks like the flower has a tendency to go and lie down. Obviously, then, the hairs are going to reach the soil quicker for pollination. But if you want to show the flower off, just stake it so that the flower remains upright and you can actually see it. Alternatively, you can put the pot on a large stand. I've so often heard people complaining how difficult it is to grow a maidenhair's fern. And believe me, when I was younger, I had those same problems. Here, I never planted these. Obviously, the spores germinated on the moss, and that's where it grows. I don't fertilize, I don't take care. A little bit of background, what these are the water features in my koi pond. So obviously the fish poo eats them really well, or they like the type of fertilizer, and the root ball, the more filters out the gunk in the water. So it's got a dual purpose. It's not just looking pretty. The pump runs during the day, it's off at night. So obviously the substrate is, I don't want to say dry out, but the substrate is not soggy the whole 24 hours. And it seems to be happy. It just grows uncontrolled. Sometimes I just yank a piece out because it's getting too much. So it's really an easy grower if the conditions are right. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching, and let me give you some background about myself. This YouTube channel I'm starting, I'm hoping to show the transition that plants can do from inside to outside and also outside inside. Plants don't really grow in houses. We've just made it possible for them to survive inside. They really do like it outside. So I'm fortunate enough to live in an area where the temperature is fairly moderate and it grows. There's a lot of other so-called rare plants that I also grow in my garden, and I would love to show it to you. So thank you for joining me on this first video that I've made. Please subscribe if you want to. You can also leave a like and also turn the notification button on. And I don't know how often I'm going to do these videos. If you want to see more of the stuff that you maybe saw in the background, just send me a message, leave a comment, and I will do the next video on it. Until, thank you very much and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.